Today's topic of discussion is various forms of energy and the law of conservation of energy. The first form is heat energy. We have seen that the frictional force is not a conservative force. Okay, so however, work is associated with the force of friction. We have an example, okay, that if a block of mass m is sliding on the rough horizontal surface with speed v0 comes to halt over a distance say x0, the work done by the force of kinetic friction F is minus F into x0. What is minus F? Because it is a frictional force into displacement say x0. Okay, according to work energy theorem, this kinetic energy mv0 square by 2 is equal to fx0, because finally the object is going to stop, so final kinetic energy is equal to 0. So final kinetic is 0 minus initial is mv0 square by 2 with negative sign, and this negative sign has gone. Okay, this minus fx0. So if we confine our scope to mechanics, we would say that the kinetic energy of the block is lost due to the frictional force. Okay, on examination of the block and the table, we would detect a slight increase in their temperature. Okay, and this energy which is lost in the form of heat, and that is depicted in the form of rise in temperature of both, that is that of surface on which the object is sliding. Okay, now chemical energy, as you know, whenever there is a chemical reaction, the exchange of energy takes place. Chemical energy arises from the fact that the molecules participating in the chemical reaction have different binding energies. A stable chemical compound has less energy than the separated parts. A chemical reaction is basically a arrangement of atoms. If the total energy of the reactant is more than the product of the reaction, heat is released, and this kind of reaction is called exothermic. If the reverse is true, if heat is absorbed, then it is endothermic reaction. Okay, then electrical energy. Okay, flow of electric current cause the bulbs to glow. Okay, all these electrical gadgets are working. There are laws governing the attraction and repulsion of charges and currents, which we shall learn in the later case. Okay, now mass energy equivalence, as you know, Einstein has given this equation: E is equal to mc square. Mass can be converted into energy, where m is the mass, c is the speed of light, which 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. If you have say 1 kilogram of mass, okay, then mass is 1 kilogram, and if you take c square, then 1 kg mass will produce this much amount of energy. Okay, this is equivalent to annual electric output of a large 3000 megawatt power generation station. Nuclear energy. Most destructive weapons made by men, the fission and fusion bombs, are manifestation of this equivalence of mass energy. Okay, that is relation E is equal to mc square. On the other hand, the explanation of the life nourishing energy output of the sun is also based on the above equation, that is E is equal to mc square. If you have light nuclei which are fused, then large amount of energy is produced. Okay, if you have delta m is the mass difference, or we can say delta m is the mass, okay, which is having which is converted into energy, then it can be delta mc square, which is the amount of energy which is produced. In fission, heavy nucleus, if you have 92 uranium 235, it is splitted by the neutron bombardment, and light nuclei are produced. Okay, some mass will be disappeared. Okay, say for example, this is for the example only, that you have this 92 uranium 235, say you have 250 gram, or rather the mass of the, say for example, the uranium atom here is say 235. Now it is split into two parts, then two fragments are made. Now the mass of this must also be 235, but the mass of these two fragments is less than this value, and this mass which has been disappeared, some mass is reduced, that mass is converted into energy. Okay, so this way the mass can be converted into energy. Strictly, the energy delta E released in the chemical reaction can also be related to the mass defect delta M is equal to delta E upon C square. So how much mass is released, or how much mass is rather converted into energy, that can also be found. That if now delta E is the amount of energy released divided by square of C will give you how much mass has been converted into energy. Okay. However, for the chemical reaction, this mass defect is much smaller than the nuclear reaction. Okay, one table is given, you can study. Okay, then this example is very easy, 6.10 you can easily calculate. Now there is of conservation of energy. As you know that energy can be generated, it cannot be destroyed. Just you can convert the energy from one form of the other, or we can just convert the energy from one form of the other, so the total energy of the universe remains conserved. This is the law of conservation of energy. Now we talk about power. Power is nothing but time rate of doing work. This is the definition. Okay, the time rate of doing work is called power, or power is defined as the time rate at which the work is done. Okay, so at what rate the energy is transformed is a power. Power is work upon time. So what will happen? Power, if you want to find average power, then work upon time. Okay, instantaneous power, if you want to find the rate of doing work, that is dW by dt. And work is nothing but, as you know, work is nothing but force into displacement. So if you take W is equal to F into dr, okay, instead of dW we can write F dot dr. So instead of this dW, if I write F dot dr, then it can be F dot dr upon dt. And as you know, dr by dt is velocity. Okay, so V is the instantaneous velocity when the force F is applied. So power is equal to Fv. The dimensional formula of power you must know. M1L2T minus 3 SI unit is watt. Okay, joule per second it can be, because it is work upon time. So it is joule per second. Okay, it is named after the British unit is also there. British unit is horsepower, and 1 horsepower is 746 watt. Okay, these are small questions. We encounter the unit watt when we buy electrical goods, because our electricity consumption is measured in kilowatt hour. Okay, say for example, such a bulb, heater, whatever you are, refrigerator you take, their electrical consumption is measured in watt. Okay, a 100-watt bulb which is on for 10 hours, then 1 kilowatt hour energy is produced. Kilowatt, kilo means 1000 watt, how much time? 100-watt bulb you are having, and 10 hour you are using it, and 1000 watt hour energy, that is 1 kilowatt hour energy is produced. Okay, 1 kilowatt hour means, kilowatt means 1000, hour if you want to convert in second, then it is 3600. So 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 joule is the energy which is associated with 1 kilowatt hour. Okay, now these are very simple examples. 6.11, elevator can carry a maximum load of 1800 kg. Elevator plus passenger is moving with the constant speed of 2 meter per second. A frictional force of 4000 Newton is there. Determine the minimum power. So mg is the force that is of the elevator plus man, that is maximum 1800 kg, into gravitational force which is in downward direction. Okay, so that is calculated here, 1800 into 10 plus 4000 Newton is the force of friction. So this much amount of force is there on the elevator in downward direction. So balance this, the power must be F into V. Okay, and the value of speed is given, V is 2 meter per second. So this much amount of power must be there. Okay, or rather power must be minimum we have to supply from outside. Okay, now collision. In physics we study motion. At the same time we try to discover physical quantities which do not change in the physical process. The laws of momentum and energy conservation are typical examples. In this section we shall apply these laws of commonly encountered phenomena. Rather, we understand that total momentum is conserved, total energy is conserved. So how these laws can be applied in the different physical phenomena. Let us consider mass m1 and m2. Now try to understand this example. This is the mass m1, this is mass m2. Object is moving, that is m1 is moving with v1I. This is stationary, m2 is stationary, it is at rest. Now when it collides, what will happen? Say m1 is moving in this particular direction with some final velocity v1f. Its mass will not change. Okay. Here another mass will move in this direction which makes an angle theta 2 with the horizontal line whose velocity is v2f. Its initial velocity of m2 is 0. Okay. Now during this whole process the momentum is conserved. Okay. Momentum is conserved. So if you want to apply the law of conservation of momentum, then initial momentum will be only m1 v1I. Try to understand. Only it will be m1 v1I. The final initial momentum of 2 is 0. Now final momentum of this will be having two components, that is in x direction as well as in y direction. So it will become m1 v1f cos theta 1. Okay, it will become m1 v1 f cos theta 1. Okay, then final momentum of second will be m2 v2f cos theta 2. So final momenta of two objects will be m1 v1 f cos theta 1 and m2 v2 f cos theta 2, and they are in x direction, so they are in one particular direction, so they are added. So this is the final momentum in x direction. Okay, now initially the object is moving in x direction only, so initial momentum is m1 v1I, that must be equal to this final momentum, that is m1 v1f cos theta 1 plus m2 v2f cos theta 2. Okay, now try to understand it in a y component way. Initially this object is moving in x direction, so it has only x component m1 v1I. Its y component is 0. Okay, its x component is m1 v1I, but its y component is 0. Now y component of this final momenta can be m1 v1 f sin theta 1. The other one will be m1 v2 f sin theta 2. Now try to understand. One component, that is sin theta 1 component, is in positive y direction, and this component will be in negative y direction, so this will be minus. So m1 v1 f sin theta 1 minus m2 v2 f sin theta 2, and this will be equal to the initial momentum in y direction, that is 0. Okay, so this way you can apply this rule to calculate different numericals or different examples. Now elastic and inelastic collision. In all collisions the total linear momentum is conserved. The initial momentum of the system is equal to the final momentum of the system, that I tried to explain. One can argue this as follows. When two objects collide, the mutual impulsive force acting over the collision for the time delta t causes a change in their respective momenta. Delta p1 is f12 delta t, and delta p2 is the change in momentum of second, that is force on 2 by 1 into delta t, where F12 is the force exerted on first particle by the second particle. Okay. Now F12 and F21 are mutually opposite. Okay. So this change in momentum will be equal to 0. Okay. Now how can we say that it is an elastic? There are two types of collision. One is elastic and the other one is inelastic. If kinetic energy is same, that is initial kinetic energy and final kinetic energies are same, if the kinetic energy is equal to the final kinetic energy, but the kinetic energy during the collision time delta t is not constant, such a collision is called the elastic collision. Means elastic collision means initial kinetic energy is equal to final kinetic energy, both the kinetic energies are same, then we can say it is an elastic collision. On the other hand, the deformation may not be relieved and the two bodies could move together after a collision. A collision in which the two particles move together after the collision is completely inelastic collision. Okay, so there are two types of collision. One is elastic, in which initial kinetic energy and final kinetic energies are same. If two bodies are collided, moving together by sticking together, say, then it is completely inelastic collision. Okay, the intermediate case where the deformation is partly relieved and some of the initial kinetic energy is lost is more common and is appropriately called the inelastic collision. Means initial kinetic energy and final kinetic energies are different, then it is inelastic collision. Okay. Now consider first of all completely inelastic collision. So theta 1 is equal to theta 2 is equal to 0. So we can say initial momentum m1 v1 I both are together moving. Completely inelastic means what? Both the objects are moving together after collision. So m1 plus m2 will be the mass after collision. So one object is moving, here is the second object, after collision both are together moving. Okay, so total mass of both the objects will be m1 plus m2 after collision. Okay, so the initial momentum will be m1 v1 I and the final will be m1 plus m2 into vf, where vf is the final velocity of the two objects which are moving together. So vf can be easily calculated now. The loss of kinetic energy can also be calculated. Initial kinetic energy is 1 half m1 v1 I square and the final will be minus 1 by 2 m1 plus m2 vf square. Okay, so this can be easily calculated. Okay, 1 half m1 v1 I square, okay, minus 1 by 2, then it is vf is taken from this equation. Okay, vf is taken from this equation and substituted here. Okay, and easily you can simplify this. Okay, and we can get the value of this delta k. Okay, so this equation is obtained if you simplify. Okay, so change in kinetic energy can be easily calculated. Okay, so here this is the change in kinetic energy which we got, and it can be written as 1 by 2 m1 m2 upon m1 plus m2 v1 I whole square, which is a positive quantity as you expect. Okay, now consider a next collision, elastic collision. Now in elastic collision, when theta 1 and theta 2 both are 0, okay, elastic collision means their final velocities will be there. Okay, v1f that is of first object and v2f that of the second object, and their initial kinetic energy is equal to final kinetic energy. Now if you just have to remember these equations of final velocities of both the objects. V1F is m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 into V1I, and V2F is 2m1 V1I upon m1 plus m2. You just have to remember these equations, okay? That what is the final velocity of the first object and what is the final velocity of second object. Here V1I is the initial velocity of the first object, okay? Now there are cases that you should understand. If V1F is 0, V1F is 0, that is final velocity of the first object is 0, okay, if two masses are equal. If two masses are equal, we can say m1 is equal to m2. If m1 and m2 are same, then V1F will be equal to 0. Okay, here if you take m1 is equal to m2, then what will happen? 2m1 V1I upon m1 plus m1. So 2m1 and 2m1 will be cancelled out to V1I you will get. So final velocity of second will be equal to the initial velocity of first. Okay. If one mass dominates other, say one object is very large, say truck is standing behind, a cycle comes and collide. Okay, what will happen? That is the case. V1F, that is velocity of first, will be reverted or it will be rebounds. It will be equal to minus V1I, and V2F is 0. Truck will not experience anything. Okay, if you collide with a truck with a tremendous speed even, then that truck is not going to have any experience. Okay, so here this part is getting over. Okay, now there is a collision in two dimensions, okay, that I tried to explain how to take the components. Okay, that I have explained how to take the components and compare them. Okay, and if this is an elastic collision, then initial kinetic energy will be equal to final kinetic energy of the system. Okay, so these are the things which are useful in calculation. Okay, here our chapter comes to an end. Theory part, try to watch this video 2-3 times and then we shall calculate the sums. Thank you very much.